sure that this works. What an honor to be able to stand here and be a part of this first event for GPREP, and thank everyone here for the part that you played in it, because this truly will give us a heads up on being able to show organizations that are either looking to relocate or expand, or a totally new organization to look at our area and enjoy what we enjoy here. And that's a quality of life that's second to none, and a workforce that we believe we can provide to any organization that is, like I say, looking at the point of expanding or relocating. A couple of housekeeping things first. I understand our visitor didn't get the word, but Friday at Prescott is Levi Day. Rolly, you got the word, Tom got the word, but it's pretty slim picking when you look around. So, think next year, when we're back here, probably on Friday night, and Doug does make sure that somebody remembers. I know you will. The other one is all of the posters and everything made mention that I was the honorary host. Don't take that for granted that I'm paying the bill. And any of those that haven't paid, the door will not be unlocked until everybody has paid. You paid? Rolly, I would expect that out of you. But thanks for being here, all of our friends at the county. I would also like to mention that we have Jim Norton with us, Kirk Adams, who is working for the boss, and Alex McCula, who is one of us. And I mentioned these three because they all went to ASU.
All right,
ASU people, anybody here? Well, there's a few more, so it looks like it's going to be a good deal. Going back, Steve kind of made mention that as the GPREP board was meeting middle of last year, or in the 32-quarter period, talking about this event, trying to figure out whether to schedule it before the end of the year or middle of the first of the year. And the consensus was, who will we invite as a speaker? And after some conversation, as I do from time to time, I mouthed off and said, well, let's invite the governor. And somebody had the comment, well, the election has not been held yet. And I said, well, let's invite the governor. So it was probably unanimous, but I was selected to do that. And the next day I said, what the hell do we do next? We made a half-hearted attempt to make contact with the Democratic candidate for governor. I never admitted that we were not successful. But this governor had made many visits to City Hall during the campaign. In fact, I think it made him a citizen of Yavapai County, Prescott area, for the number of visits that he came to Prescott and showed us that he really cared. We were chatting at the table that a little over 4 years ago, some of you remember that, Mayor Marley, you should remember, we were in Chino Valley out at the park. And probably there was 20 people there, maybe more, but Doug Ducey was there as a candidate for treasurer. And we saw what happened in the last 4 years. Doug, thanks very much for what you do. friends, and is there any way that you can help me get a heads up and make contact with him early? And Alex was very kind. He says, yeah, I've got his cell phone number. And his cell phone started ringing. Our governor put me in contact with his scheduling person during the campaign. I haven't met her in person, but she's going to be a great person. She got back to us and said, you know, I can't, number one, I don't have a job, for sure, if he's elected. And number two, we don't know what his schedule is going to be after the election. Well, we stayed in contact, and I kept making sure we stayed in contact. And I'm pretty sure that this is the first commitment that the governor made to come visit with us tonight. And after we had the commitment, then I started wondering what we're going to say about him. So, back to Samantha, and I said, have you got a revival, or is there something that the governor is using for introductions? And she said, yes, I'll get you one. It even has an ice cream recipe in it. I only have about 5 minutes, so we've got to get this over with. I'm really excited about the next several years in Arizona, of the opportunities that we have. And I think those opportunities are going to develop because of a team that's being formed, and a lot of it has been formed. So it's my pleasure to introduce your friend and my friend, Ducey.
Thank you very much. It's great to be back in Yavapai County. And the reception here is always so warm and welcoming. And I just want you to know how grateful I am. Along the way, and even before that, because I've spent some time on this golf course, and I don't get to play much golf anymore, but I've played this Father-Son tournament 4 or 5 times. So it's great to be up here and have the room packed like this. And this is something I've come to expect as I've spent time in Prescott over the last few months. I will certainly never forget standing on the courthouse steps on election eve, feeling the incredible show of support and energy from the people of Prescott. And I knew right then that November 4th was going to be a great, life-changing day for the state of Arizona. I want to thank Mayor Kuykendall for his warm welcome and the kind invitation to be here tonight. I also want to recognize the Greater Prescott Regional Economic Partnership and its president, Steve Rutherford. I appreciate you hosting tonight. I appreciate all you've done to grow this region over the last several years. Steve's a real good luck charm. I sat next to him at this table at the first event of the campaign season, which was held by the Yavapai County Republican Women. 400 people, packed house. I think we had 11 candidates in the race then. And it's a long time ago. I also want to thank Alex and Maureen Bakula, who I've known since I was a teenager at Arizona State University, for all their help here in Yavapai County during the entire campaign season. Your very dear friend, Angela and I. And I really want to recognize everybody in this room, because I know this is a room of community leaders, elected leaders, GPREP members, and business leaders. You're all here because you're united by a common goal: to drive economic development and maintain a high quality of life for the people of Prescott. And I'm here to give you my word and my commitment that I will be your biggest advocate in making that happen in the state of Arizona. Now, it bears repeating that I have pledged to be a governor for all the people. And that was tested on the day after the ASU U of A game. When I called Rich Rodriguez on his cell phone and congratulated him. But that also means being governor for Arizonans in every part of the state and in every region. I want entrepreneurs and investors across the country to know that if they are looking for a place to build, relocate, or add new jobs, then Yavapai County and Arizona is the place to be. I want to ensure that those job creators look to Prescott, that they know that this is the home of the aerospace industry with leaders like Lockheed Martin and Embry-Riddle, excellent K-12 schools, a fast-growing healthcare sector, and a skilled, highly dependable, and specialized talent pool. These people are ready to give their companies a competitive advantage in the global market. And as I told the legislature in my State of the State, I think that we could all use the fresh outlook of newcomers on the issues that we have before us in this state. Whether we're talking about state spending, taxes, public education, or the role of government in general. In government, just as in business, settled assumptions are not always correct assumptions. Conventional wisdom is not always wisdom, and the political parties do not always have to be hostile parties set against each other in every case. It goes without saying that our state isn't without its challenges right now, but as all of you know firsthand, in real life, when families or businesses take stock of how they're doing, the answer has a lot to do with the state of their finances. Well, it works the same in government. And when it comes to our state's checkbook, we start out with the number 1 billion. In dollars, that would be the difference between spending and revenue if we were to do nothing about it these next 2 years. Now, maybe I'm from the old school of economics, but this strikes me as a problem. So last Friday, I released my budget proposal. And just as I promised in last year's election, my team gave a thorough look to current state expenditures. In reviewing some items, we asked questions that hadn't been asked in quite a while. Questions like, why does the state of Arizona need an office and a paid lobbyist in Washington, D.C.? The short answer is, we don't. So that office and all its expenses will soon be gone. And there will be at least one less lobbyist in Washington, D.C. And we're not going to stop there. To balance the books, we're going to institute a state government hiring freeze with protections, of course, for vital areas like public safety and child safety. However, when it comes to the bureaucracy, we're cutting back. The government can't take on any new expenses when we can't afford the ones we already have. Our budget does what budgets are supposed to do. It prioritizes vital commitments that Arizonans value the most: public safety, justice, classrooms, and aid to the needy and vulnerable. Our budget doesn't just give the appearance of spending discipline, It offers the reality of spending discipline with decisions that are real, timely, and permanent. And to that end, I propose this. Our state needs an unbiased Inspector General mandated to find more areas of savings, and where corruption exists, shine a light on it. This public advocate would be equipped with a badge and subpoena power to go in and ask the tough questions and be a watchdog for the taxpayers. I want to work with the legislature to get that done this year. And with a tight budget, we've all heard the calls these past few weeks to just go ahead and raise taxes instead. As the argument goes, it would be relatively easy because all we'd have to do is cancel all or some of the tax reforms that are currently taking effect. But I believe any way you look at it, canceling Arizona's tax reforms is the wrong way to go. They were designed to put more life in our economy, and that need is stronger than ever today. Business people, the ones we're counting on to create jobs, have been making plans around these tax cuts. Plans to build, expand, and make new hires. If we change our plans, they'll change theirs. It's a high price to pay for going back on your word. And that's why I say, not on our watch. Another essential of good government are tax rates that are reasonable and predictable. Yet every year, Arizona taxpayers are faced with the threat of a tax increase because we don't tie our income tax to inflation. The result is an automatic tax increase. Let's end this by permanently indexing our income tax to inflation. This is an issue of fairness, and we owe better to all Arizonans, so I plan to work with the legislature to get this done this session. Now, we all know that by some measures, our economy has been growing, but not nearly at levels we know we can reach. And it's not just overall performance either. We want the kind of growth and opportunity that touches everyone in every part of our state. Earlier this month, I signed an order placing a moratorium on regulations in the executive branch. It was a good beginning, but only a beginning. There's also the matter of many state regulations already in place, often for reasons that nobody even remembers. Our small businesses have to deal with all these little rules all the time, just because they're on the books and nobody's bothered to change them. I'm instructing the directors of every agency in state government to conduct a top-to-bottom review of regulations and send me a list of all the ones we can do without. It's likely to be a long list. And wherever we find any regulation that is outdated, irrational, unfair, or destructive to free and honest enterprise in Arizona, that regulation will be gone. While they're at it, agency directors will also be reducing timeframes for permits and licenses. Our government needs to operate at the speed of business. And we have a regulatory review council that is stacked with lobbyists. Who's advocating for the small business person, the startup, the entrepreneur who can't afford an attorney to navigate the endless maze of bureaucracy? So I'm asking the legislature to pass a bill requiring a small business owner on that council, and I'll sign it. We don't want to be stuck in the middle of the pack, somewhere between California and Texas, to be the best state in the country in which to do business. We want to lead the nation as the best place for every Arizonan to work and do business. And we should apply that same type of thinking to our public schools, because we know we can do better. So last week I was proud to sign my first bill, the American Civics Bill. This is bipartisan legislation that requires every student in Arizona to pass a basic civics exam. It's along the lines of the test taken by every new citizen. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor has called this the quiet crisis in education. President Reagan told us, if we forget what we did, we won't know who we are. And John Adams had it right as well, remarking that every child should be instructed in the principles of freedom. To appreciate this wisdom, however, it helps to know who Justice O'Connor, Ronald Reagan, and John Adams are. But for too many of our kids, those names sadly don't ring a bell. This bill will help ensure that all Arizona students are properly educated about the history and founding principles of our nation. This is a unifying issue, and I'm proud we can all come together and do something positive for Arizona schools and students.
Yeah.
I also want you to know that there's a movement across the country to pass that bill, and Arizona was the first state to do it. And so that should build on a theme of leadership for our public K-12 institutions, and in Arizona, educational excellence is going to be our priority inside these schools. For the next 4 years, I intend to lead under a Classrooms First initiative. The goal is simple: to improve outcomes in the classrooms for all of our children. That is why my budget proposes to spend not less in the classroom than last year, but more. $134 million more in the classroom next year, to be exact. Right now, we spend far too much on administrative costs, on overhead, and that's got to change. So last week I signed an executive order assembling a team of education and finance professionals charged with scrubbing every dollar in every formula and statute in order to identify ways to get maximum dollars into the classroom, where it can do the most good for our children. We know where education happens, between a teacher and a student. In my administration, we will honor teachers and the good work they do. Many teachers would agree with me on this. The quality of a child's education should not be determined by what neighborhood their parents can afford to live in. Our state has some great public schools, among the best in America. But unfortunately, because of yesterday's policies, many families are shut out of those schools. They sit and wait as their sons and daughters get another year older, and their dreams of providing them with the best possible public education slip farther and farther away. This has gone on too long, and I don't think we should accept this inequality any longer. How many Arizona children should have equal access to our best public schools? My answer is all of them. Here's what makes the situation even more troubling. Right now, there are nearly 400,000 empty seats in our public school system. In fact, some public schools are completely vacant. These are educational assets funded by the taxpayer, meant to benefit our children, and they are going to waste. Well, it's time to put these assets back to work. So here's the plan. Let's make open enrollment and parental choice a reality and not just a talking point. Let's open the doors and make those empty seats available to our best public schools by creating what I call the Arizona Public School Achievement District. We can give our state's best public schools, these are quality schools that are at capacity or have a waiting list, new and innovative options. These public schools would have the ability to apply for use of the empty schools and empty classrooms. So we can put those kids where they belong, in the public school of their parents' choice. We also need to make the capital available to our public schools that are ready to expand. Our budget will reserve resources that our best public schools can borrow against to bring down their debt service costs. And half the projects funded will be in low-income communities. Every dollar not spent on debt service can go to more classrooms, more teachers, more students, getting the education they deserve regardless of where they live. And for consistently underperforming schools, it's time for a change in management. First-rate public school superintendents, principals, teachers, and operators make the difference. They are the ones who give our kids a shot at a real education. So when local control, intended to benefit children, turns into organized chaos to protect bureaucrats, expect a united legislature and a chief executive to make a change. Right, Representative Fan? Yeah. Looming over all our discussions about education is a court order demanding payment of money we don't have. Here's the short of it. Elected leaders acted in good faith during the Great Recession to keep statutory commitments to education while also keeping our state afloat. Now the courts have given us a choice between a fiscal crisis or a constitutional crisis. So my message to the legislature is this: settle this lawsuit. To the education community, be reasonable. Let's put this behind us. It's time to stop paying lawyers and start paying teachers. I've also asked our Attorney General to dust off the dictionary and help us out here. The words of the statute are clear. And means and, or means or. We'll get this financial fix done and start moving forward. With all this renewed focus on opportunity in Arizona, I think it's worth remembering that the best of these opportunities can be to serve. In November, I launched an effort during the holiday season called Serving Arizona to highlight volunteer and charitable efforts throughout our state. Visit these food banks and shelters and you'll see firsthand those who are struggling the most in our communities. You'll also see the best of our state. People taking time out of their busy schedules to help those most in need. Maybe it's serving lunches, maybe it's packing food baskets, maybe it's reading to a child. Whatever it is, these selfless Arizonans are an example to all of us elected to represent them. Christmas season has come and gone, but serving Arizona is not. Giving more to charities close to our heart is always a good thing, but there is nothing like giving your time. And I hope with this effort to continue to encourage that spirit. Now, we know Arizona isn't without its challenges, but we have the leadership to fulfill our potential as a state. And I'm not just talking about people at the state capitol. I'm talking about the leadership of all Arizonans in every county in the state. The mom who's doing everything she can to make sure her children have opportunities she didn't. The entrepreneur who's risking everything she's got to chase her dreams. And the teacher who will stay late tonight to help tutor one of his students. This is about all of us. All Arizonans have a stake in making our state the best place in America to live, work, play, recreate, retire, visit, and get an education. In a little over a week, our state will host the Super Bowl for its third time. As a sports fan, I'm pretty excited, and I know you are too. This is a prime opportunity to showcase Arizona to the rest of the country. It's a chance for everyone in the world to know what we already know, that Arizona is the place to be. So I've asked the legislature to let politics stand down for a while. Let future elections wait their turn. It's time to come together and to get to work. So I want you to know that I'm grateful for this chance to speak to you tonight, and I'm looking forward to working with business and community leaders here in Prescott Valley to get our state where it needs to go. I want to thank you so much on behalf of myself and our entire team for the hospitality when we come to Yavapai County. We were here a lot during the campaign. We were proud of the results. You can tell a lot about how someone will govern by how they campaign, and just know we'll be back often. And again, thank you all for being here tonight.